If you're selling a physical product and you attend trade shows, exhibition events, or even your customers in person, it's extremely important to have your demonstration techniques up to standard. After all, you want to drive an impactful sales demo, which will allow you to close your deals more easily. Many people don't realise the importance of looking at each stage of their demonstration and review ways in which they can make improvements. It's stated that an increase of a few percent can dramatically increase your sales. Here's some expert tips and tricks you should consider. Before you decide to demo any products, it's important you research your audience beforehand. This may sound like obvious advice. However, you would be surprised how many people don't do it. Going into a sales demonstration without any preparation is a good way to make your job as hard as possible, but it's not a good way to close a deal. If you demonstrate to a lot of different people, for example, the general public at events, groups at meetings, or even visit offices, you need to gather as much information and data about your audience before you start. If you're presenting to a certain company or organisation, job titles, department, company size, and so on can be good information to obtain. You should also remember that you don't need to demonstrate every single feature of your product. It's easy to show off all the features when you're eager. However, your potential customer doesn't need to know every detail. They simply need to know the relevant features which will solve their problem or issue. Highlighting every feature will simply bore your audience and lead to a long presentation where people simply stop listening after a while. So keep the information clear and to the point. Following on from the last point, you need to focus on the unique selling points of the item in the correct tone and language your customer can easily understand. Avoid jargon or industry-related phrases, which only certain people may know. Reinforce the selling points of the item that appeal to your audience. Some sales professionals like to tell a small story or a real-life customer experience of how the product worked in solving a problem. Of course, the audience you're presenting in front of may have to listen to many different companies speak. This means you need to think about customizing your demo to best suit their interests. After all, if you do this, they're unlikely to get bored as easily. It can be a good idea to tailor your demo and speak to them as an individual, rather than somebody who's reading off a sheet of paper they prepared beforehand. Typically, generic language won't stir emotions and interest. You need to directly appeal to their emotions to get a response. It goes without saying, you should definitely rehearse your presentation before any demonstration. Although you may not believe it, a lot of people don't do this often enough. According to research by Presentation Panda, 79% spend at least 1 hour practicing their presentation, while only 22% spend 5+ hours practicing. Not only does practicing build your confidence, but it guarantees that you know your material well enough to correctly gauge the length of your demo. Once you know what you need to say and how long it will take to say it, then you can stick within a reasonable time frame. Just because you're well rehearsed doesn't mean your personality can't shine through. Remember, you're not just doing a demonstration, you're delivering an experience. Additional research by Presentation Panda said 79% agree that most presentations are boring. Establishing a connection with your potential audience is just as significant as explaining the unique features of your product. The best way to encourage interaction and engagement with what you're saying is by the way you deliver it. Did you know, according to Social Media Examiner, when people hear information, they're likely to remember only 10% of that information 3 days later? This clearly shows you need to create engaging content to keep their attention. Further research by Presentation Panda highlighted that people understand the simple fact that those who create and deliver outstanding presentations excel in business. A good tactic is to simply encourage questions and discussion. After all, audience participation can be excellent in a demonstration environment. You shouldn't ask questions to challenge your potential customers. Let them ask you questions which you can answer relating to your product. This will ultimately build their trust and confidence in what you're selling. Remember, it's important to finish your demonstration with a call to action. This clearly shows your audience the next steps they should take. For example, you may give out an order form, or give them a direct number they can order through. Remember to make the buying process as simple as possible. Some sales professionals even like to use sentences such as, "Would you like me to send further brochures or specifications for your manager to look at?" If you're in a different setting, you can easily change this wording to, "Would you like me to send additional information through the post to you?" As you can see, a call to action can be extremely effective in helping to close the sale. It's also a good idea to always follow up on demonstrations whenever possible. Don't sit back and wait too long. Generally, you should call or email a potential customer within 48 hours. Remind them of what you have to offer and what the next steps in the buying process might be. Hopefully, you've now gained some expert tips which can help you to sell at your demonstrations more easily. Remember to structure your presentation, practice, and to know your features. Also, make your demonstrations fun and exciting, which can increase the audience interaction and engagement rates. Finally, close the sale with a strong call to action.